some feature, and the second one is where we push to the analysis. And let's introduce something about me and my team. I am Lee Trump. I am a software engineer with 4 years experience working with the Erlang language. And beside that, I have 1 year experience for working with the LSC language. And I learning and studying this in the free time. And my current company is Adabit company, and I'm a Cisco consultant. And you can check out my LinkedIn and connect with me. And about my team, Ohai.VM, we are start from 2022 and the first project from 2023, and I was target about the LSC and online ecosystem and try to do something interesting. We are trying to learning and expand our community for the LSC language. So if we have other people can learn and study about the new language, such as LSC and Erlang. And our team has already contributed to open source projects, and anyone can contact us via this email. So let's talk about the LSC and some feature. LSC is an open source project started by Zhu Palim, the creator of this language, and LSC is dynamic functional programming, and LSC is built on the stock of Erlang, and they share some feature about the concurrency, distributed, and fault tolerance. We will talk about one by one in this topic. So first about the pattern matching. The syntax is something similar with the Ruby syntax. We will define the one list in the left hand in A, B, C, and in the right hand we assign it to 1, 2, 3, 4, and equal E. This means comparison and assignment. So let's evaluate it and let's see what happens. So it's return the no mask of the right hand side value, and this is the mask error because in the left hand side we define three variable, but in the right hand we define 4, so 3 cannot match to 4, so it becomes error. And the next one, we define one tuple. The tuple is one of the type of the LSC language. This will define inside the left and right bracket that you can see here. And another type of LSC is after this the variable after the column, and it will matching with the first parameter in the left, in the right hand, the OK in here, and we soon assign to the 95, and we will bring the result. Yeah, 99. So one more specific define. We can use the vertical bar to divide the list for two bars. First bar is the first element. And the rest of the list is the after the vertical bar. So the list will be assigned to the hello, and underscore is this means it will match on the rest of the item of the list. So the underscore will match 2 and 3. So we assign it to hello here. Yeah. One more is recursion. In other language like C, C# or Java, we usually use the loop function to recur multiple times if we need to loop the function. So in this case, in LSC we can use another method. In this, we define one function. This is the name of module recursion, and the name function we multiple times. And the first parameter is the message, and the second parameter is the true equal n. This means we add the condition to check whether n equal true or not. We can add directly the condition checking inside as the parameter input. And the next we don't in other language as I remember the like Java we use the override or override to override the mutable website with the same parameter inside. But in this case we need to define the override or something like that. You can define the same person with the message and the end. This case this means the loop person in this case and larger than count larger than 0. And another thing is we can add another checking condition by using the when n larger than count outside and larger than 0 outside this function. And the last one bring multiple time message. First parameter is message and the second parameter is 0. It means whenever the second parameter is matching with the 0, it will return the OK in here. And then we will evaluate. We will as the first parameter is hello and the second is tree. You can see when it jump to the second loop, it will bring the hello everyone because it's matching with that with here true, and the message will last the everyone. And the last one we will go to the concurrency in Elixir. If you have any question, you can stop me anytime and we can discuss furthermore.
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
What is the equivalent type of tuple? Let's say in Ruby. So what is the equivalent type of tuple?
Type of tuple is the
Yeah, but in Ruby, do we have? Oh, do you know Ruby? Sorry.
No, no. But this is the basic kind of analysis we can define it to machine or we can store the variable inside the tuple. And we will the table using this basically tuple to store the database inside the database. This I think this is the specific type of analysis when compared with other languages.
So what is the difference between tuple and then a list?
Tuple and what?
And a list?
A list?
A list. Say a tuple of OK and 1 and then a list of OK and 1. So.
Okay. Because the tuple and the list, I think is the one of the tuple cannot use the vertical. Now, if you would like to pick up the first of the tuple in here in the list, you can use the first parameter with the vertical bar and yeah.
So what tuple is a tuple array?
Sorry.
Tuple tuple array. What is it?
Array is the something like list.
So array is a list.
Yes.
Okay. And tuple is more like a set.
Yes. The tuple is another type.
Actually, tuple I read off and list array, but it's more expensive based on library like EC. And for quick data, long a lot of items we use list, and for sort and parameter we use tuple.
Yes.
So why was the recursion? So the Elixir have a function like tail recursion.
Tail recursion. No. This can use the loop function. Loop function. We can use directly if we don't need to use the recursion.
So when using a recursion, you know that they will add a lot in the stack, right?
What is that?
And with so large
Yes.
will
You also
can
have
be
Stack Overflow.
yeah.
Overall.
Actually, in Erlang, they develop algorithm, not nine window full stack in modern language, but not same. And never define limits of parameter and full stack. And actually, for problem Erlang support how to do that, and they can do load on register rule, and they must move to load function. You can develop new code on that time before.
Okay, we can continue. And about the concurrency, concurrency means that you can handle several processes at the meantime. We don't need to, in the traditional functional programming, we can we define 1, 2, 3 function and this function and dependency together. So, but we can resolve that if this this function run the specific functionality and not need event to order. So the first is we define the function not concurrent. The function A will you can use the leaf timer with the 500 millisecond, and the function A do the function A, and we can yeah we will evaluate this. And you can see the timer is evaluating over there, and after 5 seconds the function A will be executed, and after that the function B will be run later, and will enhance to make it run separately. So can we do that in here? We use the spawn function display the new process to run the code we specify, and in the function B we don't need to wait the function A finish first, and then we can if you run separately. Then the function B will finish first, and after 5 seconds the function A will be run later. And about another technique is message passing. This means we can use the send function send the message to given definition and return the message. And when we listen, we use the receive to mask the messages. We define one caller by equal the cell we identify file of the processes. This means it's the name the BID of the process, and we use the bar function to send to the caller with the tuple OK and between message passing, and we define one the loop receive here. Yeah, the function you receive to wait for the message, and then mark the message in the block. The OK, we send the message OK, tuple OK, and message passing is will match with here the OK, and resolve the message passing. In this case, we just only define one pattern matching with the 2 elements inside the tuple, and then we can expand this function to uncomment this line, because if we do not uncomment this line, it just handle only one message. We can define another multiple condition, multiple the tuple or anything you would like to match in here, and it to unlock the function for its pattern matching. Okay. Yeah, it's building the receive message passing. The send the caller, send the message OK message. async, and we will see later. It's very helpful if we define several or multiple processes, and we can send the lots of message to other side, and just standing in here receive the message. It's the something like callback function. And then that is fault tolerant. For the isolation of the error when the cascading failure, when the process fail, it can be restarted independently, and so the other back of the system can remain operational. So we'll go to example to understand this technique. The error in concurrent system. We define the first process by the small function, and inside the first process, we start the second process with number lead 3000 milliseconds, and put the message second process finish. And the represent this view array exception and exit the first process and write something went wrong with the first process, and we will evaluate, and let's see what happened. Yeah, as you can see, after 3 seconds, the message second process is finished. Even though the first process is died, and it will return an error, runtime error, something went wrong with the first process, but the second process is still alive and run the functionality of it.
So do you have any technique to control that? And you have multiple process.
Yes.
And technique control that if one process die, all the process will stop immediately.
Yes, we have that, and we will explain later. It's in the presentation.
Hopefully, do you have a technique to control the new type, new
what?
conflict about the global variable in the concurrent?
Yeah, we call that immutable. Yeah, it's something we can define one variable, and we sometimes we cannot change this variable, because when AC server or system something like that, if we define the global variable, and it can use anywhere in the subcode, can define in different module, but in LSC we just only use it and define it in only the module that is in the mutable, and we can change. It's very easy for us to something to debug the issue, and yeah, it cannot change. It's very
Actually, I've asked you about the concurrent.
concurrent.
That means you have to select some memory to and update it. And when one of the threads finish the update and another update override, that's top control.
Yeah.
The second, and you example, you have one thread,
Yes.
one concurrent, and select
One
one
process.
variable before,
Yeah.
and one thread, a thread finish, and they update for the first, for the select variable, and the second continue to select that. But the first finish, and it's override the variable, and the third, maybe the some thread select the variable and they don't have a return value. Yeah.
Yeah, and one
I can
can
explain
explain.
about it. Actually, answer is functional learning. Can you have they don't have a global variable, and they follow lexical scope, and you can see the first file, first project, and I will check in another week after variable if a second process is that they put a new map and they don't care about last variable, and if there was only a bit for variable by semantic or use the table and answer they have a ETS table format. You got semantic between two process. No memory channel. No channel. Yeah.
So LCU only work with process, no fact. LCU only work with the process, no fact.
Yeah, not fact in OS, but same low routine or green fact. Similar. Yeah.
They don't share memories.
Yes. That's a really useful group. How do we call perspective?
Okay, we can continue to the supervisor. The technique we can restart and recover the process when it's died sometime. And you have the bunch of the worker processes that do meaningful work, and each worker is supervised by the supervisor process. And whenever the worker is terminated, the supervisor will start another one in each line, and the worker processes are normally implemented by using one of the behavior, then event, then server, then state. In this topic, we can talk about the then server because it's in the LSD language we use it a lot. And this day the behavior module provide the server of layer design. We can define some combat function, init, terminate, handle call, handle cast, handle import, or handle continue. So we'll go to the example. Yeah, this we can define this the main supervisor, and we can call this the baron. And of the main supervisor, we define three children: server A, server B, and server C. And what happens if just one of them rush in the system? We use the strategy to restart it. First one for one. If the server A dies, the supervisor will restart only one server A, and the other server B and server C still alive. And one for all, if the server A dies on the remaining server, it means the server B, server C will terminate, and all the server will restart it. Rest for one is if the server B die, we are defining the order. Server A is the first server, and server B is the second, server C is the C. If server C is die, that's for the list of the children are terminated. It means the server C will die as well, and the server B and server C will restart it. This technique will very helpful. We can control and supervise many server, and one of them be die, we can be technique to restart it, and it can help we isolate the error. It cannot impact to another one. Can go to the distributed.
I have a question
Okay.
about the supervisor. So the main supervisor here becomes a single part, and when the supervisor dies, so
Yeah, it's healthy. It's something kind can healthy the strategy like that. If it die, it will.
the main supervisor.
Yes, will
Be-
restart, and all the child will restart as well.
Uh,
And we can imagine that we define multiple main supervisor to supervise multiple server. So it will can be like three processes.
So you know, there is technical squad member can also be a supervisor, and when that supervisor dies, the other member will vote. So the Alicia has asked for the feature.
Can I answer that? Can I
Yeah,
answer
yes,
those
yes.
questions? Okay, so you got a point there. Like it's true that in Elixir they tend to divide like processes into two large broad category, which is the supervisor and the rest is called worker. And if you can see here, as he's mentioned that you can form a tree structure, like a multiple layer of supervisor. The thing is, supervisors usually doesn't do anything. Like it usually doesn't contain any logic. All the business logic usually taking care of the worker, and supervisor is usually is just standing there and react to the failure of the worker. So that's lead to a situation where it's very unlikely for a supervisor to crash because of business logic, because it doesn't have any business logic. So the only reason for supervisor to crash is for its worker or its subordinate to crash a lot of time. Like a tree where your like children know crash all the time, like let's say 10 times in 5 seconds. If that happened, then the supervisor would say, oh shit, I can't handle this. I have to delegate to the group or something. So you can see that it's true that we still have a Singapore failure, but it's very unlikely to happen because usually the error happens at the leaf of the tree and it bubble up, and you get to bubble up all the way to the root for the app to like crash all the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, would like to add something small. We can define the parameter like how many we need to restart it, or how long we wait to the server A touch time to restart it. If for example we define 5 seconds. If the server touch long time rather than 5 seconds, you will try to restart it many times. And if it exceeds the number of the restart time, it will maybe it will impact the main supervisor. It will restart as well too much on the state of the server in consistency. So that's the distributed. So we're done here. The distributed Erlang is related with the technique of Elixir. It consists of the number of Erlang runtime communicating with each other. Each runtime system is called a node, and a node is similar running Erlang virtual machine is called by beam. And in each node we can, for example, node 1, node 2, node 3. When we stand at the node 1, we can send a message to other node 2. Otherwise, we stand at the node 2, we can send a message to other node 1 or node 3. And then can we apply distributed technique in our system? So we can, for example, for this system about the web application, we can define several nodes, load balancer, two node balancer, one caching server, and two node for server 1 and two node for server 2. You can send a message to each other. It can be it help the system to run smoothly and run smoothly. And another technique is about the hot code loading. This means we can modify our line production system. For example, when we upgrade the version upgrade the system, we don't need to shut down it and apply the new version and restart it to get the new one. We can go to the node, for example, go to this load balancer node and get block the part of the file, and this will relay the old one and apply the new one of the code. We can apply the hot bucket for some kind of scenario and debug the ray collision. What you guys in the line note. When the scenario cannot review in normal system, when we work with the optic or something like that, we cannot review or get the log in our normal environment, and it need to can just only review in the line, not in the line system is handling the traffic. So we can go to their SS, go to the node SS to the node and run some command get the log to investigate or investigate the issue. It's very helpful for us, even though it's not really running.
How is this propagated in the servers?
Yeah.
How is this propagated? When you have multiple web servers, like how do the hardware affect those servers at the same time, or
Yeah,
will be delayed? And what happens if the request also changes?
Yeah, it means we
happens.
Yeah, it means we can go to one by one to apply the hotfix, because it's the hotfix is just only the bus of the file, and we can apply it directly into the system. Yeah. If we define multiple nodes, we can go to one by one.
That you have to manually make sure that it's backward compatible.
Yeah.
Or you ignore.
Yeah. It's if we are for example if we are using the version 2, we need to measure the bus and the bus file. This file is version 2, because if we apply the code not version 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, it will incompatible with our system. Maybe it will error and return error in system, so it can be lost. Yeah.
Yes. I'm curious about the ray condition box. Can you give me an example about the ray condition box?
Example, yeah. For example, in line stuff, we handle million of users, something like that, and the regulation just happen when we push million of the traffic of the LAN at the same time, just maybe under 1 second. And in our normal environment, we cannot downhill enough the hardware or the software or the environment to simulate this case. And this just happen when we handle the million of traffic or million of LAN user at the same time. Something like that. And as you know, the process can send the process in very fast. So in some case, we cannot handle and don't know what happened in there.
Can you
So,
share a memory, right?
Memory.
Can you just share with how
The ray condition usually happen when
we share
and
Or in system, maybe we have database something like that,
yeah.
Or a get something like that outside, and maybe data records maybe from that, from that variable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So the last question, as the topic of this presentation, we put you to the Alicia. So just 5 minutes left, as you saw. Sorry for the time. Current status and limitation, as you as we know, when we develop and develop the system, we can something in the back end we use the C# or Java. In the front end we use the Angola, React.js, and machine learning we use the Python. Python database we can use the MySQL, SQL server, and how about the language? Let's say when we use the mutable technology stack in here, it can match capacity and compatibility issue. It requires many people and many developers to understand all of them, lots of technology, so it can be complexity and when we upgrade the version, one of them is something is incompatible if the new version cannot support the other technology stack and maintenance and support. For the long term run, it's difficult to maintain all of them and it's because we are using the multiple touch stack and we are using the a lot of library groundwork and groundwork to support them and something a bit need to buy the license. And the technology stack by Elixir. About the backend, Elixir is backend language support the backend development. Front end we use the Phoenix framework, and the Phoenix is the web development of Python Elixir. Implement the server side model control, model view controller. Machine learning, we can use the Azure library. Data analysis, we use the NS library. Database, we can use the Amnesia and ES. And ES, we can build the hash table by using this table instead of Redis. About the database, we can use the table, and we don't need to set up the password or set up the username and establish the connection between server side and the database. This can be reduced time when working with the database. There is the better comparison between stream and service for the organization and company. When we work only with the Elixir, it's the very simple. Of our team, we just maybe define one team about some member and we can interact and support together. Just only one programming language. If we use multiple language, so we need to understand other language how it work and how it work in the system, and we will take time. I think. So I think this is the last thing we would like to share. So do we have any question and any question?
How old is Elixir?
Yeah.
How old is Elixir?
How old is it? I think it's more than 10 years.
More than 10 years. About 12.
Yeah. More than 10 years, but not much company use Elixir in Vietnam. It's just in the logo.
When you introduce your company, I think I read that the goal of the company is to use Elixir and Erlang to do something interesting. Is that the real company goal?
Company goal.
Yeah, in the very first slide when you introduce the company.
This, you mean this company or?
Yeah, target about Elixir or what?
Target. Yes, this is my team. Let I introduce something about my team. This is anh Mạnh. This is my our team leader. He working in the VinFast company and we have Minh, and this also the developer of our team. Our team just work with the Elixir at the available time. This means at the night or at the weekend, just play something funny with the Elixir language. And probably we have the main job to get money for Purpose?
Yeah, and I thought it was like the actual goal of the company, but I guess it's just
Yeah.
the goal of Elixir. Never mind.
Just want to master the networking and expand our community for Elixir and language. As we know, Elixir and our language the not used much in Vietnam, so we want to contribute something to expand our community, and we need we can yeah, this is the simple target of our team. Then we can send mail or contact me, and we can build a community of Elixir online together. So do you more question?
I have a question.
Yes.
From a perspective of a web developer, right, I believe Elixir is not your first language, and Phoenix not your first framework, right? So the reason now you share regarding why we should consider using Elixir, right, because it supports multiple domains from front end, back end to machine learning and database, right? I think it will not happen it will happen in an ideal world only, because if supposing everybody using the same language, I don't think it will ever happen. And I think is that reason now we can talk the same thing for other language. So let's say if we use Ruby, definitely there must be some library for Ruby as well for processing data for machine learning. So, but I think that my question is from the perspective of a web developer, right, you use other language, other framework, and when you switch to Elixir, are there anything you really like about that you think other should give it a try?
Yeah, for my opinion, about the Elixir, I really like it because it can handle the multiple technology stack, as I mentioned before, and can learn about the functional programming. So it's very different when we compare with the ORB concept. So
For my career, I'm a Golang developer, and I have a lot of backend for my company. Most of the time I want to go to machine learning or AI or stuff for fun, but I need to go to learn Python or something like that. Or sometimes I want to write a web for myself, but I need now Vue or Angular or React, something like that, but not my skill, and that will take time for me. And I want to look for own, but acceptable. And I think it's for good for small and new projects. It's for my good.
Yeah.
For the different aspects or the different parts of it, did you guys find that the what's available for libraries for it is mature enough, or do you guys find that you have to build things yourself from scratch?
I'm a guy and I build everything right now. Yeah, from the ground. And I want to go to this and do something for my practice skill.
I can share that from my experience regarding your question. So when we decide to pick a language, a framework to build a product, a project, where we would consider is it mature enough? Is it have a diverse set of third-party library? So we use Elixir and Phoenix framework. It is the web framework to build several real products for our client, ranging from wallet, like crypto wallet, to marketplace for the user to buy stuff on the website. So for the use case, we didn't face any issue regarding the lack of a third-party library. But I have to admit that when your need is more than that, you will not have a wide selection of library. So even compared to another language like VI, Ruby, Meetup, right? So compared to Ruby or Rails, you have fewer options for the library. So let's say in Rails, when it comes to, let's say, authentication or like shopping cart or any other need, you have multiple options. It's not not popular not a lot like PHP or React or Node.js package, but it's still Ruby is still much better, much more. How do I say? You have a lot more options compared to Elixir. For common need, you have enough, but if you need to need a very specific need, then Elixir will not be a safe choice. Even though the developer experience for me and for our team is much nicer compared to other the framework we used before, but if you need to suggest it to a client, then you really need to consider the requirement you gonna need to implement and do some research. Do you have the any open source solution ready for you to use before really jumping into it?
So I think we can stop here and enjoy together. Thank you everyone.
So thank you for sharing. Right? So before we move on to the next talk, the next sharing from Octavian. So let's have a break. We prepare some food, some snack outside. So let's go to the kitchen and having time to talk together. And let's get back here around 8 p.m. Right? So we can move on to the second talk.
Vậy là bên này nó không cộng luôn, ví dụ một cái bài toán này cộng 4 tỷ phân tử với nhau em chia ra thành 10 cộng mũ rồi thì sao mà cộng? Hay là nó sẽ ra tại vì nó phải đến cộng A cộng cái nào cộng thì cộng
cái vấn đề của algorithm nó không vấn đề của logic.
ví dụ bên
bây giờ mà giải bài toán machine learning và bài toán sequence mình chạy từ A đến Z mình còn bao giờ xong đúng không?
đúng rồi, cho nên phải tách ra cho nên
phải có những ông nào algorithm ông làm cái vấn đề đấy, lập trình viên
chặt ở đây nó này đâu gì mà tạo đi
phải không?
đây ở đây đến đâu là đến đâu lên dạ đang làm gì rồi nhà làm thấy cái gì làm bấm này cái nào đi lên cái kiểu đâu đây là bữa nghỉ còn sắp luôn đúng rồi
Rồi nó lấy nhiều ngôn ngữ là sâu
có là có
là nó chịu được cái gì khi nó lấp vừa xong để phốt lại game cho quay xong
đây là chiều rồi đây chạy sắp mặt
mọi người ra ngoài vừa ăn vừa đi trên đang hỏi feedback ở bữa trước đấy.
đi cũng tại ba bữa nay
nó
nó
phong cách hơi rộng của bạn tâm hơi
Tại vì
cái điều á
đang nghĩ là mọi người từ web qua sẽ chưa tận dụng được mấy cái server mấy lại cái automate trong đấy, nên chưa đi thêm một chút về cái server supervisor này nọ server để nghiên sâu được bản chất của nó. Hồi xưa là làm ơn anh là tập lấy lao động không dễ gì hiểu
nhưng mà web cũng khá là né cái chuyện đấu thế ngày xưa
tại vì nếu mà tự develop một cái library thì ông một cái dùng đấy nó đỡ code. Còn như hồi xưa là trai hết toàn code một set luôn đấy. Nhưng mà ngôn ngữ hiện tại nó có cộng đồng thôi. Editor thì đang có rất lớn ở thế giới Việt Nam thì là ít. Việt Nam thì cái gì sao do bánh trưng
đó mới biết rồi bạn nó ổn này đẹp quá chứ chưa thử chạy lên đó sao mới chạy xong á
có tâm là xong á và ốp xong đến lúc đi brand tại vì không nói trước có ta không chạy trên đấy ra ngoài đó
tại sao lại phải mở kênh nữa
để rồi không biết tiện
thành con nút
em có nút để chắc để đẹp
để hai đám chạy machine learning và tabla cái lối lốt đấy đẹp ra
thấy có kinh nghiệm rồi
Vậy ông mất bao nhiêu công đi vlog không ngừng.
Về bao nhiêu năm, ba năm, 3 năm làm cái project S
Cái đấy là compatible với Ruby Notebook mà trong phía machine learning chúng ta dùng là compatible được luôn đấy. Không thường đâu nha, xịn sò lắm. Điều là mọi người chưa quen ít dùng.
từ cái chưa có cái interactive tới có interactive ra là bước dài rồi, mình live book là mở ra chạy trong cái góc luôn nữa.
Lúc nghề
Thấy đông không?
nhưng mọi người nhưng mọi người đến tầm
câu mà bộ với list nên đặt vào đây bộ rồi ok.
Or here, or
Three of them.
in the search.
Do you need this?
Again.
Or can I connect it to mine?
You just unplug.
I mean, do you still need this now or I can connect to mine already? That's what I'm asking.
What?
Do you still need this now or?
No. You just
Thì để tại hỏi để anh coi á, đấy là không có mà nếu tôi biết đó thì bởi vậy tôi mới hỏi là ông nhưng mà nó vẫn là
The fact that slides use Wi-Fi.
yeah. I have it here. Give me one second.
nhưng mà giờ giả thử công ty người ta
Nó sẽ bình thường á. Bây giờ đặt vào
Scanner. Yeah, you can connect by scanning this here. Just scan, you don't need to even one. Alright.
The opposite direction to home. Is anyone here?
Just
No.
give them like 1 or 2 more minutes, and there are still some people.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Octavian. So today I will give a talk about GraphQL in Ruby. And why this talk? Because recently I had some interviews in the company and not many people knew about GraphQL and they were kind of confused that I need to learn GraphQL to be a Ruby developer or to develop in Ruby. So this is a talk to show that you can do GraphQL in under 30 minutes in Ruby. So that's the main purpose of the talk. About myself, my name is Octavian. I'm a Ruby developer since 2016. I'm first a co-founder with Max over there. You can find the link of our company there. And before I used to work for Josh, me and Pigmel, two other small SAS companies so very small companies. I haven't worked in a big company, so I'm not sure how development stuff is done there. So as I mentioned, GraphQL is a way to build APIs. And the question is, why do you need GraphQL? The main thing is that REST, like APIs, it's a big problem with overfetching and underfetching. Like you never can get the right data that you need for your stuff without having to make a custom method or a custom endpoint that gives you just the right amount of data. So let's say, for example, that you want to make a list of products, a table of products. The only way to get this in REST is to get an index with all the products and get everything about products that you can have in your system, which is way too much than what you need. So that's one of the problems. And another problems with REST APIs is underfetching. Like for example, you have products with pictures and you want to put pictures inside the tables, right? So picture is a different endpoint. So in REST it would require you to have another endpoint, product/pictures/an ID over that. And to get pictures, you need to query to query these APIs for each product individually, and that will result to an n+1 API calls, which slows down development, slows down page load, slows down everything. So GraphQL tries to solve this problem. And another annoying things with REST is that you have endpoints for everything. Every little thing requires you to have an endpoint. So GraphQL tries to solve these problems. So what is GraphQL? GraphQL is a query language for reading and mutating data in APIs. What does that mean? That every query in GraphQL is like this. You have the query and the variables for that query, and you make a post request to the server, and the server returns you data for your query. That's it. So there is no other endpoint. There is nothing else. And in the query language, you specify what data you want from the server, and you only receive that data. You don't receive any extra data. And okay, so on the back end, what you need to do is to resolve your query and to define types of data for your query. And you have two types of operations: query and mutation. If I talk too much or I stop, you can stop me and ask questions, please. Okay, so this is how front-line query. You have the top query over here on top. This is the top query, and you may have variables for these queries or may not have. And then you start listing the fields you want from shop. For example, you want the ID, you want the email, you want the phone, and you may want your active subscription. And again, this one also has a list of fields, and in here you see that you have another step forward. So you just define the list of things you want. In here you may have an array of data. You can also get array of data, and each of these would have their own fields. So on front end, like I said, it allows people to request the data they need, and the query is written in JSON format, so it's easy to make the query after you get a little bit of use. And you can query multiple data at the same time. You can query shop, you can query active subscription, you can also query the themes for the shop. So one query for all. You don't have to make multiple queries to get all the data you need to make your page. And this is the other operation that was something that you query to get data and you mutate to change data on the server. These are the only two kinds of operations allowed in GraphQL. And the operation is in just a query but has a mutation name. So you just specify it's a mutation and you resolve it in a different way than a query. But this is the only difference. You have the same thing. You have the query and you have the data you want to receive at the end of the query, and you also have the variables later. And how does this look on the backend? So how do you define your types in the backend? Because this is something that you have to do for any sort of APIs. What do you return? What can the server return to the front end? So in GraphQL, you do this by defining types. You define types for each model you want, or for each stuff that you want to return. And the good thing about GraphQL is that it is a type system, so you have to define the type of the value that the field can take. So here, this is a string. And this is coming from Ruby. This is very useful because you know from the start what sort of value your API should return and what sort of value you should have. And it's also strict, so you cannot return an integer here. It has to be a string. So in here you define your fields, and you can also have date types. You can have composite types. And you can also have arrays of joint types. So a team has a team type, and subscription also has a subscription type. And you can also say if it can be null or true. And if you return a null type for something that is false, it will throw an error. So the API will know, the caller will know that I did something wrong. That's not something wrong happened here. Okay, so how do you set up the backend in Ruby? Because we are Ruby developers, not really interested. We just know how to set up the server. And like everything in Ruby, you use a gem. For everything. If you don't have a gem and you have to make everything yourself, then the technology is not worth using. And there are a couple of gems to set up servers, to set up GraphQL servers. The most common use is GraphQL Ruby. It is made by the GraphQL team. And it's quite old, it's 7 years already. They still have recent development, so it's the GOAT library. And the second one is a group, which it's high performance Ruby with some GraphQL server support. I think the support for GraphQL is added recently in the last year or last few years. So it's not a very, I'm not sure about it. I work only with GraphQL Ruby, so the other two are just new gems that you can try beside the first one. And this one, it's a recent gem, I think started last year. It's Ruby like DSL for GraphQL in Rails. So these are the three options that you can build your backend in Ruby. Okay, so let's talk about the first gem and how to set up the Rails server. So you just run this command, and then you get all the stuff you need to start writing the GraphQL types and make queries. So you get your GraphQL route, and you get your GraphQL controller, your schema file, and your base type and base mutations. And then you can start writing stuff, and you're kind of done. So let's see how the GraphQL controller looks like. What does the controller do for everybody? Authenticate request, and then you set up the context for your GraphQL call. So things like shop and admin, over here admin and request can get passed to each query and each mutation. So these things that not like you not put the shop or the admin ID in each request. You'd have a shop type, and then this will get passed by the request by the context over here. And then you just execute the admin schema and with the variables, context, and the operation name. And this is everything that happens in the GraphQL controller. So how does the query type? So query type, this is a special type that one has to define to define all the top level queries. So everything in GraphQL is a query. So and you have a top level query. And in this file you put all your top level queries. So in here you have the field admin, which will just return you the context admin. And from here, from admin, you can have admin and you have field ID, and then you have some other stuff in there, like action that you did or a log or something else. And in here you have a field with a parameter, with an argument, and it's the one we saw before, the shop with the parameter. So this one will return the shop, and we'll find the shop by ID. And then all the fields are used from shop type in here. You have to define your shop type to get all the fields. And the other type that one has to do is the mutation type. And in here defines the mutation and where to find the mutation file. So this is the mutation name and the file where it needs to be done. Okay. And how a mutation looks like, because types we saw before, the query types we saw before, it's the shop type. And the mutation looks like this, where you have the list of arguments and you have the type of the argument, if it's required or not, and extra validations if you want to do so. Another good point for GraphQL is that it comes with input validation that you don't have with REST API. With REST API you can send everything in there and nobody cares if your input is right or not. With GraphQL you can have this from the start, and the query gets rejected immediately. You don't have to do model validations to see if your data is correct or some sort of validations, and the errors are standard. Okay, so you have a list of arguments, and then you have a list of fields to return, of possible answers to your mutation. Like typically you have an error or field. If something happened, you just return the error. And in this case, you have the shop ID, so you can assign the ID to shop after you made the mutation. And these fields have a value null because they can be null. Like in case you have an error, there's no shop ID, and in case you have the shop ID, there is no error, so the type of these are null. Okay, so I think that's about it. So, like I said, building a GraphQL server in Ruby is quite easy. You just take the gem, install the gem, and you follow the instructions. You make your types, and then you start making queries. The type system offers great scalability because once you define your type, you don't have to care again if you need this type to be used in a different place. Like the shop type can be used anywhere. The admin type can be used anywhere in your stuff. You don't have to retouch it after you define it. When adding an extra field to the type is just adding an extra line in that type definition. Because you only have one request for your page, it reduces HTTP traffic, and because it have only the data you need in your requests, it again reduces the amount of HTTP traffic. The strict type system, it's a bonus that REST APIs don't have, so everything is typed, and for Ruby, I think that's a very good thing to have. And yeah, mutations into validation can replace or augment the model validations. And yeah, you simplify routes and reduce the amount of controls because you only have one controller, the GraphQL controller. So all in all, I think it's a good opportunity or a good thing to try the GraphQL. And one more thing, this is not for everything. Like you should not use GraphQL for every sort of things you need to do. You should, in our application, we use GraphQL for 3 different endpoints, but other endpoints they still use a REST-like API. Like if you want to make an OAuth authentication, you cannot use GraphQL. You just can use an OAuth. Different controllers. So this will not replace everything or not say that from now on everything is GraphQL. No, it's just a tool that you need to use if you want to make a robust API that gets you what you need in as fewer as possible requests. Some keywords that you have to care about here is that it doesn't have a preload by default. So if you may have backend n+1 queries, n+1 queries, if you're not careful. So for those things, you can use different gems to lazy load your data and load everything in one request. But this is not part of this thing. And yeah, so about us, we are a small SS company, and these are our links. You can click on them and follow us on LinkedIn or visit the website or app stores. Any questions?
I have a question. I'm sorry. So I understand that by using GraphQL, it can save HTTP request, right? So,
yes.
So for example, instead of taking a product category as an example, so instead of making the first request to get all the product category and then subsequent request for getting the
images,
the product and the X category, right? So the consumer of the GraphQL, they can make a single request to get both the category and the product.
Yes.
But on the other hand, would it make any impact in terms of performance? Because let's say if we have a fixed set of the REST API, we know that what we expect to return to the user, so we can do some optimization for that, right?
But then you need to do this optimization for every page you kind of want to do. Otherwise, you still return more data to the server, so it will still increase the HTTP request, and you still make more requests, right? Or you make a single request to get all the products with all the images at once. So you make a new endpoint, or you use REST-like APIs where you have each individual model has their own endpoint. How do you solve the problem?
Yeah, I get the drawback of the how do I say REST API when we it's not that flexible. Right? If the user if they want to get all the data they need, possibly they need to call multiple REST API endpoints.
Yes.
But I mean, when we give the flexibility to the API,
I don't know. So flexibility-wise, they're both the same. REST and GraphQL they solve the same kind of problems. Just that this one makes it faster because it's only one request. So each request it takes time to connect the server, time to communicate the server, the servers to make the DB calls. All these things adds up. So in theory, making one request it's faster than making multiple requests.
Yeah, but
in theory, I mean, it may be cases where the connections is quite okay and the stuff tend up to something the same thing, but in practice, making one request is usually faster than making multiple requests.
Yeah, I get that point. I just it's just unclear to me that because we in GraphQL we allow the API consumer to specify all the attributes they need, right?
Yes.
First the product, then they can also require to fetch all the images, right?
Yes.
So we can't control it's quite hard to predict which attribute that the user will get in a single API request. Right? So in that case, let's say if they specify both, they get both the product and all the images, so would it affect the performance if we use GraphQL?
No. I mean, if you don't handle n% queries, then yes, it will may affect the performance. But if you handle everything correctly and the gem does it for us, then it's the same thing. Like everything is preloaded, so you have as few queries as possible. So in the end, you minimize the amount of queries to DB, and everything gets written in one go.
I want to add something. So, like, Fabian said that you can request all the data with one request, but actually you don't have to. You can still split into multiple GraphQL requests. So, if we talk about some extreme example of, say, you need to like send 200 REST requests to just build one page, right? So with GraphQL you can split it. Like you can make one request and get all of the crazy amount of data with one request, but you can also split it in say like 10 different requests, right?
Or even 200. I mean, you can make the same thing if you want to. Like, it gives you complete flexibility of how many requests you need to get the data. Yeah.
Can I kind of? I think what Long trying to say that if I'm a malicious party and I meticulously craft a long nested multi-level, like say 10-level nested query, will it blow off your database?
Well, everything it's like as a developer, why would you have 10-level nested of anything?
No, but
it's
from the client side, you cannot control that.
But you control the query, so everything is controlling the schema. They cannot go more than what the schema allows them to go to.
Yeah, but let's say I have a schema like Facebook, right?
I mean it is possible to have that level of nestiness, but again, I don't think that will have any other different effect than making the request separately.
Yeah. I think it probably would just time out the server, right? Just run for a while and then time out server.
Yeah,
and
of course you can always have a timeout.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to understand is if like in the spec or GraphQL or in the library, do we have any like, let's say like protection mechanism for it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, and one more thing. Can you back a bit to the part when you specify the schema, like the tag, the model, and can we? Do we have a way to like specify the relationship here?
So this is kind of the relationship, right? So this is a model, right? So if you have a model type in here, it will automatically get to the model or something else. And then you have the fields, and here you have relationships, right? You have teams, and you have an array of teams. And in here, this is a single type, and you have a single type. So, and you can also do data. You can also return something very silly. You can return a JSON in your table. I don't have a JSON. So you can also return a JSON for something that should be a type in GraphQL. So if you don't know how it looks like, you can always return JSON.
So, this is just my theory. If I request for shop and I nested a theme, like I guess the old theme for shop, what ideally it would do is it would join the query, right?
No, it will preload them.
I mean,
it
join as
will,
in like SQL or the.
I don't think it will join. I think it will take the shop, and then it will take the themes for the shop, and then that's how it goes. That's why I said in here you may have n plus some queries if it's not handled properly, because you may have in here another type, and for that you have backend n plus some query. So for that you need to lazy load your data. You need to use a different gem to solve that problem. like for your example, if you have a special endpoint that gets all the products and gets all the products with the images, you usually preload the images, right? We have a preload on the query. In here, they don't have preload unless you make your query special. Like you can make a top query and then you preload all your data that you need to. But that's just stupid, I would say. So in here they have a mechanism to lazy load, to load all the data only when you need them. So all the models in here, they're loaded after the query is processed. The system knows what it needs to query. Somehow it's, I try to look into the gem and it's a bit over my brain, I would say. So they make a list of what they need to load, and then they make a query for that thing to the DB, and then they go again to the data that they may need, and they make another query for the DB to get more data. So it's done in it's done in batches. Like it's not everything is loaded at once. And of course in here these fields, they can also be defined on the spot. Like you can have an owner that you concatenated from phone or email or something like that. These are not only DB fields, like they're just anything you can have in here. Maybe if you got it here, you don't have it. I don't think I have in this example. Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, just one last question, sir. You said that you are using both the REST API and GraphQL in your system, right?
Mhm.
So from your perspective, what are the possible use case for REST API and GraphQL?
So the reason I use the REST-like API, if you need to return HTTP, if you need to return HTML. So for those cases when the request needs an HTML, you just return using HTTP, using REST-like API. I mean, not REST-like API, control different endpoint, not GraphQL endpoint.
So your company using monolith or microservice architecture in stuff?
I think it's monolith.
So the GraphQL on the same server,
Yes.
but backend and frontend first.
I mean, the backend is everything on the one server and everything else.
What I'm trying to understand here is, can you shed some light on what is the possible trade-off here? Because everything is trade-off, right? So what specifically we sacrifice?
Like you mentioned, you may make a query that is too big to be handled and needs to be split. That's a trade-off. Right? Like when you make a query, you should think if this is possible. Like if you want to load 100 objects, and then from these 100 objects you need to load another 100 some deep level, like you said, then I would suggest don't make that sort of query. Split it up.
But we would never encounter that.
Yeah.
Like you're the developer, right?
I think it's better for front-end because you find a schema
Yes.
and it can be used at the front-end side.
Yes. The schema is available on the front end, and the front end developer knows exactly what it needs to query and how it goes.
Schema is like a recommendation.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in strong favor of like stricter interface or API. So
Mhm.
you can use like open API like specification for it. So if you have GraphQL, it's great.
Yes.
You mentioned that we can only use post, right? So
It's only a post request, yes. Everything is a post request. So I mean, there's only one endpoint and one request to do. And for front end, there's a lot of libraries to make the request for you, to make GraphQL request. But you can also use the simple fetch request, like for one of our libraries. You use a fetch API, like use the window to fetch to make a GraphQL request. You just make it like the way I showed initially, where you have the query and the variables, and you make it to JSON and you send as body, and that's it. So,
I think one possible trade-off that I'm really trying to nitpick here, but I guess if you use Post, you kind of forego all the infrastructure around caching that Get have, right? It's kind of unusual that you use HTTP cache for API requests, but I've seen people do it using ETAG or stuff to do
Yeah,
like, the
you
caching.
don't have caching here, like everything.
So you just like let off all the caching.
Yeah.
That's probably not a big deal, but
Well, for API, I'm not sure that you,
Yeah.
you really want cache because everything should be live, right? It should
Yeah.
not.
I mean, I used it once, like use ETAG to cache like user information, stuff like.
And
we do that
most
just-
clients they have caches on there, so many times the query doesn't even go to the server. They go to they use their own cache.
on client.
So the client does the caching for us.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know Bruce, but if I define a field,
What?
the function it's like a total activate hour to go. I have to query a lot of table to calculate this, and I define in the side. So if I not query, I in the client I'm not querying this. That field. So the server they have to include the field.
Like if you don't I think if you don't have it in the query, they just ignore it. They don't trigger the method. Like if this one, for example, is a method over here defined, created, add, and count something. If it's not part of the query, it's not used. It's not code. So they only everything is lazy. So everything try to see what you need, and at the end you make the least amount of choices that you need to do. You don't do anything extra. That's the idea of backend. And like if you want to build your backend yourself, it's gonna be complicated because you need to do like you said, you should do everything as little as possible. You should avoid doing unnecessary things, and for that it's complicated.
I want to add something. So I just remember something about your question about the mechanism of how to prevent queries that are too big. So we actually don't do that, but Shopify somehow does they calculate points for each query. So
You have but this is not part of GraphQL. It's part of API rate limitations. Like you can add the rate limit to your API, and of course you can add points to how big your query is, and if it's too big, you can.
yeah. So but somehow they evaluate how complicated the query is, and they assign a certain amount of
They
points
give 1 point for each field.
for each field. Okay.
Yeah.
So and then you can only query a certain amount of points.
That made a lot of sense. I think Facebook have something kind of similar to it. I remember when I do like Facebook API requests, they have a specific amount of quota that
Yes,
you
so
can
everybody-
hit, and that point is calculated based off like
The
your
queries.
like, actual usage. But I think the approach is a bit different than Shopify. They actually like measure the resources. I don't know how they do it, but they actually measure the database resource because I have different query. I have the same query but two different shops, and because they query to a different shop, they have different complexity, right? You have a shop with 1,000 items, and you have a shop with 1 item. They specifically calculate the correct, like not correct, but like the proportion is kind of like makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make a nice rate limitation, then yeah, you kind of need to see how costly a query is and assign points to it, and then try to limit it and try to reduce the amount of points someone can use. And you can always give a bigger ratio to big shops or to small shops. Like you can always do what like Facebook does. But it just depends on the way you want to build your API limitations. You can also have the leaky bucket, which is the most used. You can make a request every 5 seconds.
Yeah. I guess the problem Mark want to raise is different queries, different requests have different weight to it.
Exactly.
So using limit bucket, probably, I mean, you can weight
The leaky
your
bucket
requests.
it's a bit weak, but in here anyway. So there's I think that there's a bit of annoying. Like you're gonna select the whole shop.
Mm.
So if you want one field or 10 fields from the shop, I don't think it makes that much difference in a way, because I don't think from what I saw in there is no select on the fields that you actually get from DB. You get the whole model on the in GraphQL with the gem. So if you get one shop, you still get all the fields from DB, but the front end only gets what you request. So DB side is still not optimized. It's still not optimum.
But is there any reason for them to do that?
I think it's complicated. Like you need to know all the fields that are necessary to calculate everything in your query. And for that because you may need some fields from shop that are 5 levels down of your query, right? So
I mean, in theory, they can still.
in theory, it's possible to do a select also on the fields from the shop. But
Yeah.
from what I saw, I don't think it's done in at the moment in the gem. Maybe in the futures they will add it.
But I think the game is not like worth it.
I don't think it's worth it. That's like it's too complicated to calculate. Like you need to finish everything. Like you need to go through all your fields or your methods to see what you need. And of course, there's much more complicated stuff. If you know, like this is just basic. You can do much more things than here. You have connections. You have a lot of different things that are not specified. This is just the basic usage of GraphQL and what can you do.
One side question: can your editor like leverage these info? Like they do suggest that because you now have data.
Yes. So for front end, most of them they do. I personally don't use it, so I don't have any example in here. But if you watch other people's videos, then you see them doing and showing you exactly what field you need to make a query. It's very nice. It's nice to build a query.
Okay. Move to a slide presentation.
I'm sorry, I think we will exceed the time limit.
Let's do the quiz.
I can always
Yeah. So we need to wrap up everything on time, not too late, so people have time to rest.
Okay. So the quiz or no quiz?
thinking about having more trade. This is too good.
So back to the event. Right? So usually we have one last session for quiz. It's just like a small game in the previous event, but today we are quite late already. So I would like to cut off that session, saving it for next time. I don't want to keep you guys staying for too long. It's quite late already, right? So before wrapping up, I just wanted to share some note as usual. So we have a Slack community. Yeah, we receive some suggestions that people prefer Discord, so we will considering that. The end goal is to reaching out the community, right? So whenever the community is, we should be there. So let us considering that. Right? But for now, we still have a Slack community. So in the meantime, if you want to join, please scan the QR code to join with us. Why scanning is needed? Because Slack doesn't allow the free join. It needs a invitation. So basically, it is an invitation link. Not very convenient, but yeah, please bear with us in the meantime. And then all you guys are here, so I believe you are aware of the Meetup event on Saigon Ruby on Meetup. So we hold one event every single month. So please check it out for the next event. We also have a Facebook page, so when we want to share some updates, some new, and yeah, so we also look forward for your feedback. We try to make the event useful for the community. So, but even though we try our best, but there could be some limitations. So if you have some suggestions, please share your feedback. Yeah.
I leave like a few more seconds in case you want to scan. And yeah, so a short advertisement, right? So we are Nemo. So we are a small team in Vietnam. We have two offices in Ho Chi Minh City and Da Nang. So hopefully I can work with some of you in near future. Could be either colleagues or like a partner, right? So we work on different technical stack from Ruby, Elixir, Golang, and JS. We also do mobile development, both native and cross platform. We are hiring for all positions from developer, engineering manager, and designer, and product manager. So in case you are interested, so please join us. So the important thing is to keep the meetup keep going. We need volunteer, we need speaker, right? So thank you for Tom and Octavian today for giving us the tool talk and your sharing. So we need more speaker. So we don't really need a sophisticated topic. Anything useful, anything you found like helpful during your daily work, please share with the community. Right? So we are here waiting for volunteer and speaker. So in case you have some topic for the upcoming event, please contact us, right? Yeah, and the next event is scheduled for December 19th, the Tuesday of the first week every month. So we'll create the event on Meetup. Hopefully see you guys again in next half. And thank you once again. This is a